In this video, we're going to go through the Trade Portfolio Dashboard EA. We're just going to look at the settings and basically what it does, what each section does on there, so you can get a better understanding of how to set the EA up exactly as you want it so that you can watch your entire portfolio. So we're going to start off with the inputs. So let me just open up a new chart, a blank chart here, and we'll go through putting the EA onto your actual platform, which is very, very simple. So if you open up your navigator window down here on the left hand side, all you're going to do basically is find the Trade Portfolio Dashboard EA. This is the latest version I'm looking at here, and just drag it straight onto any chart that you've opened up. And when you do that, you're going to get the inputs shown here for you. And there's a new feature which I've just added in, which is the auto set dashboard background color feature. It's automatically defaulted to false, but if you set this to true, it will automatically get rid of the chart and everything else that is displayed on that chart so that you can clearly see the dashboard. So literally you're just going to place this on the dashboard. The only thing you really need to use as an input initially is the account starting balance, so it calculates all of the history data correctly for percentage gains and everything. So I'm going to start this one off. I think it's a 10,000 account, but I'm just going to leave it set as it is as default there and hit the OK button. And now you see that the dashboard is then displayed on the chart there. Just close that navigator window down. So this is the dashboard, and what it's designed to do is show you a complete overview of everything that is going on within your trading account. So it's going to show you all of your closed trades day by day, so you can see the profit, the percentage gain, the amount of costs involved in trading in swaps and in commissions. It's going to break it down for you on a weekly basis as well, so you can see further back in your history. It will give you a grand total on all of these as well. It will show you your recently closed trades. So the most recent ones will appear at the top there, and it shows you what you've closed, the lot size you closed, and the amount of profit you made on those trades. It also shows you your currency exposure, which is important for anybody that is position trading or swing trading, to make sure that you don't have too much lot size on an individual currency. So here, for example, you can see that I'm quite heavily exposed short on the euro, the pound, and the New Zealand dollar. I have long exposure there, on the US dollar. I have long exposure on the New Zealand and the CAD there, and short exposure on the Australian. But these are not very heavily exposed, so they're showing in green. So it's got a heat map system which will show you how heavily exposed you are to each individual currency. So you can make trading decisions on new trades based on how exposed you already are on those currencies. This area here shows you your overall open positions. So it shows you the symbols you're trading, the average price. So for position traders, specifically, if you've got multiple trades on an individual instrument, it will show you the average price that you're currently positioned at. It shows you your overall profit, percentage gain, number of lots long, short, your swaps, your commission, and it shows you each individual trade you have on that currency symbol or on the instrument that you're trading, as well as information about that. So here we've got some quick toggle buttons. So what these allow you to do is see more or less information on those individual trades. So here you can see these are the buttons at the top are C, which is for the closed trade buttons. So if I click that one, you'll see that those buttons disappeared. And what these buttons do is they allow you to close out your entire position, which is the X, 50% of your position, so take a partial close, or 25% of the position. So you can either close out the whole position, half, or a quarter of it. Really useful for scaling in and scaling out of positions, either in profit or ones that are in drawdown. You can hide these away. This P is here for showing you the profit on the actual trade. We've got a percent, which shows you the percentage drawdown or the percentage gain you currently have running on that trade. L stands for lots, so it shows you how many lots you've got on that individual trade, and the D button here is for drawdown control. So what this will do specifically for those that are long-term swing trading or position trading, if you click this button, it will highlight trades which will increase the or rather decrease the average price of your position and bring it closer to the current traded price. So if you've got more than one trade on, for example, here on the euro pound, we've got 4. If we close out one of these 2 trades, what that will do is it will bring the average closer to the current traded price, making our position better overall and giving us an easier exit. So these are all toggled on and off as you deem fit. And as you can see, when you press the C button here, which gives you the close buttons, every single trade has an individual close button that you can use. We also have an overall close button here on the left hand side. If you click this one, it will close out your entire position. So for example, the New Zealand dollar, US dollar here, we've got 0.5% profit, and that is across all three of those positions. You can see this is slightly changing color here. It's flashed into a green box. What this is indicating is that this is over 0.5% in profit. You can have heat maps, which we'll go through in the inputs in a second, which will highlight when things are in more drawdown than you want or in greater profit than is your target, so that you can identify where your strengths and weaknesses lie within your portfolio. So if we click this button here, New Zealand dollar, US dollar, it's going to close out all three of those positions in one go. There we go, they've all disappeared. And as you can see, now the New Zealand dollar, US dollar trades are all appearing up here in the recent closed orders. Our profit for today is now generated, 1.29% gain, which is on those positions. Our week's been updated as well. Those are the first trades we've closed out. Also, our exposure has now adjusted automatically because we've removed those New Zealand and US ones. So the US dollar exposure is now a lot smaller. Okay, so if we close out individual trades, so let's say we want to use a percentage of that profit, $129 that we've just banked, and we want to do some drawdown control, i.e. we want to use some of this profit to reduce the risk we have on some of these other trades running and bring that average price closer. What we can do now is identify that these two trades here, which are highlighted in red, are our worst positions. So we've got $75 roughly in drawdown here. So I'm going to use this button here, the 50, to close out half of that trade. So now that is now not highlighted in red because it's a lot less in drawdown, and I'm comfortable with that, and it's reduced my overall profit for the day. I've still got $91 worth of profit there, so I've got $82 here. So I'm going to close a quarter of that out and just reduce that slightly so that red is now gone. So we're still in profit for the day. We've banked a load of money, and we've also altered our average prices on our other positions to make them more favorable. Okay, so that's basically what the dashboard does. That's the idea behind it. So now what I'm going to do is quickly go through the inputs, and I'm going to show you how to configure it and how you can adjust all the settings. So if you hit F7 on your keyboard, that brings up your trade inputs for the EA. I'm going to whiz through these very, very quickly. It's pretty self-explanatory and just explain what they all do. But you've got the dashboard title here. You can adjust this. So if you're running an individual strategy like position trading, for example, you can just adjust that so that the dashboard shows you which strategy this is, or which on this account, what you're actually trading. The auto set dashboard colors I've gone through. If you want to change the dashboard background, you can do that automatically here. So let's say, for example, I've adjusted my color scheme and I want to work on a dark background. You can change that to black and it will change the background automatically for you. You now need to go through and just adjust all the headings. So if we open up here, you can see that you've got color inputs for the header font. So if we change the header font now to be in white and the main text font to also be in white, and our horizontal separator lines, we're going to change those maybe to something like yellow. You can also adjust those to be either solid dashed dots, and you can change the size of them. But if we hit the button now, you can see that alters the appearance of the dashboard completely for me as well. So it's completely configurable for those that want to use light or dark backgrounds. We also have multiple sections here. We've got the history, the weekly, the exposure. Each of these sections can be turned on and off. We can, the font size we can adjust as well. So if we want to decide we don't actually want to see our daily history section, for example, or let's say, for example, we're a scalper and we don't want to see our currency exposure because it's not relevant to us, you can just hide that section away by turning it to false, and that will then disappear. We can also then adjust our recent closed orders section, because now we've got this big gap. We want to tighten it up. So every single section has individual inputs for the left spacing and the top spacing on your chart. So for example, here you can see with the daily history, it is set to a left spacing of 10, which is from the side of the chart across, and 20 spacing from the top down. If we adjust this to 40, you'll see that that will suddenly jump down. There we go. So that's now moved down. So you can adjust each individual section and place it wherever you want on your chart to your preference, depending on what you have shown. I'm just going to reset this back to the defaults. And I also need to change the colors there. So let's set that back to white. There we go. So if you're going to remove a section and you're going to need to move another section over, so let's say, for example, we remove that exposure section, what I'm going to want to do now is move that recent closed orders section over. So the account exposure was left spacing of 790. So if I now change this 990 to 790, you'll see that the recent closed orders takes the currency exposure's place. There we go. So we just moved that across and we've removed the section that we didn't want to see. That is true of every single section of the dashboard. So you can configure it however you want to. We also have the ability with each section to be able to adjust all of the widths. So the date column, the profit column, the percent column, the swaps, the commissions, etc. They're all adjustable as well. So in the daily history section here, we've got the weekly history section, the account exposure section, recently closed, and your open trades. So those are the sections we've got. In the daily section, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make my profit section a little bit wider. So if you're trading much larger accounts, you might need more space, which is currently set to 70. So if I'm just going to change that to 80, you'll see that this section will widen. There we go. So that column's now got a little bit wider. And what we can also do is hide columns. So if, for example, you're trading on an account where you don't trade and hold overnight, so if you're scalping intraday, for example, swaps aren't going to be relevant to you because you're not going to hold overnight, therefore you're not going to incur swap fees. And also you may be on an account type where you don't pay commissions. So if you're on a raw spread account, for example, then you probably will pay a commission. If you're on an ECN, you may not pay a commission because the spreads are more variable. So if we want to, we can hide those away completely. And every single column that you see on here is hideable dependent on what you want to see. So if you don't want to see the lots, for example, or the percentage gain, and you only want to see the profit, you can hide it all away. So these have all got true false inputs. So weekly swap, sorry, let's go to daily swap here. I can just basically set that to false, and daily history commission, I can set that to false, and those two columns will now disappear. And then if I want to, I can move my history section over and my recent closed orders sections over as well. So that's basically true for every single section. You can control which columns are showing. You can control the width of each of the columns and where they are positioned from a left and top alignment. You can also display a different number of days in history. So if I wanted to have the last 10 days shown, for example, if I set that to 10, that will then show me my last 10 days. Of course, that now crashes into my main open orders. So with my open orders section, that was spacing 300 from the top. So if I put that down now to maybe something like 450, now that's moved down and I can see all of my daily history. And you can adjust how many weeks you see. You can also adjust how many recent closed orders you see as well. So going down further through the inputs, you have also within exposure got the ability, the exposure column is hidden. Let's just reset it. So I've got the exposure showing. So the exposure column here, we have individual inputs for high exposure, medium exposure, and low exposure. So these are the colors that you see appearing here. We have 3 thresholds available for exposure. So if you have, and these work on lots basically. So what I've got set at the moment is the defaults, which is a low exposure of 0.01. So basically anything that I am trading will automatically show in green. If I was to say I only wanted to have an exposure of 0.25 as my low exposure, what will happen there is it will turn white if there's less than 0.25 lots available on that particular currency. And as you can see, we've got the euro and the pound there, which have exposure on of an orange color, which is here, the tomato, because they have medium exposure, and my medium exposure is set to 0.5 lots. And you can see we've got 0.74 running on the pound, and we've got 0.65 running on the euro. This is your net exposure. So if you have long orders and short orders on at the same time, if you're hedging on your account, then you will basically see the net exposure. So that's what we're interested in. What is our overall exposure for news and things like that? So those can be set up and configured how you want them to. You can also sort your exposure in different ways. So you can say, I want to see my highest exposed currencies first, which will put the highest ones at the top. So these are the ones I need to concentrate on reducing my lot sizing on, and the rest of them I'm not worried about. Scrolling down further, we've got the open trade section. So again, this is very much the same. We've got much more columns there that we can hide away, and we can control each individual section that is displayed there. With the individual trades section as well, we do have defaults there for the individual trades. So when you first launch the dashboard, you can select which of these are shown by default. So here we have the show the price column, which is here, your profit, your gain, etc. And we've got the individual trades column, which can be hidden completely as well. We also have inputs. Where are they? For the default button settings, which are here. So for these inputs here, if we want to show none of these, we can set all of these to false. We would want to see something, obviously, so let's just say profit is true. If I set that to true there, you will see that it automatically defaults those columns. They're still toggleable, so we can turn them on and off as we deem fit, but those are basically what will show by default. When you launch your platform or when you place the EA on the chart, you can select which of those columns is open by default. So some people may want to see all of the information by default. So you want to see the close buttons, you want to see your percentage, you want to see the profit, you want to see the lot size, and you also want to see everything that will improve your positions when you're doing drawdown control. That shows everything and expands them out. Obviously, if you've got a lot of trades in your portfolio on each currency, they're not going to fit on the page, which is why we have the toggle buttons here, so that we can hide away the things that we are basically not interested in seeing. Obviously, you wouldn't hide everything away because you need to be able to see some information, but you can hide the whole trades column away if you want to. So just moving down further, that's that section there done. Your button settings, you can select whether you want, what color you want these buttons to be. You can also select all the button sizes. So if you're increasing the size of the font and increasing the row heights, for example, you may want to increase the button sizes. That's all configurable. For those that are running on 4K displays, you'll find that MT4 and MT5 sometimes don't handle data display quite as well with 4K displays, so you can adjust every single element so that you can get it set up and configured. When you've got it exactly as you want it, you can click the save button and you can save this as the portfolio dash settings, for example, and then every time you place the EA onto the chart, you can literally load up the inputs so that it's loaded exactly as you want it. Down here we've got the heat map settings. So the heat map is basically this section here in your individual trades, and what the heat map is, if I just move this over slightly, can't quite fit it all on the page, the heat map is going to show you the overall biggest winners and biggest losers in your account at any time that in your open trades. So as default, we have it set at 1/4%, 0.5%, and 1%. So what that's going to do is automatically highlight anything you see in your portfolio here that is over those limits. Okay, so we have, as at the moment, as you can see here, we've got the inputs. Just move that down slightly so it fits. We've got the inputs set at 0.25, 0.5, and 1. So you can see that anything under 0.25 is just white. Anything over 0.25 in drawdown will either be medium sea green or tomato, depending if it's profit or drawdown. As you can see there, that one is in drawdown, that one is in profit. Then if we go over 0.5%, we would go to a darker green, which is forest green in this case, and then red. We've got nothing in drawdown in red at the moment. And then in a lot more drawdown or a lot more profit, which is the dark green here, which is set at the moment at 1%. Sorry, that's forest green. basically displaying how well something is in profit or drawdown. So basically the heat map is completely configurable. You also have the symbol totals, where you can have different settings for the percentage gains. So for example, here we've got this one here, this symbol on oil is 0.69 in profit. So that is showing basically in the medium sea green. So if we were to, for example, move this one, the level 2 symbol profit, down to 0.6, you will see that that will change now into forest green, into a darker green color, because that's over 0.6 in profit. And the same would apply for drawdown. So this one here, the DAX, is currently 0.28 in drawdown, so you can adjust those individually as you deem fit. You can also change all those colors. Then we've got the neutral backgrounds, as I call them, which is basically you want these set to the background color of your dashboard. So this is for any trades that are not reaching any of these thresholds. Basically they will just show in the background color of your dash. So white, for example, is what I have used at the moment. And any trades that get highlighted, you can change the color of the text to be displayed on those ones, and that is white at the moment. So if I was to change this, for example, to yellow, you'll see that anything that has highlighted backgrounds will automatically change that color. So for example, if you had all your text in black or green or red, for example, for the profit and loss colors, when the background color then changes, you can't read the text. So we need a different color scheme basically for those, and that's how you amend that. And finally down here, the border color for highlighting the drawdown control trades, which is these ones here, that's automatically set with that last input. So there you go. That's an overview of the dash. That's an overview of all of the inputs and how it works. Obviously, this is version 1.3 of the dash. Any future updates may have more inputs, but that is the basic functionality. So I hope you enjoyed it, and you can go off and use the dashboard now.